Hello my friend viewers, Fabo here, the Fabulous Outdoors. As you probably know, I shoot mainly landscapes, outdoors, lifestyle and sports. And just these days, Canon and Nikon, but I talk mainly about Canon because I'm mainly a Canon shooter, have now released the new mirrorless full-frame digital camera. Joining the party with Sony and the other brands that were already up there. The only problem is it worth buying that camera? Let me give you my thoughts about it. I'm actually on a hike outdoors right now shooting landscapes, and the problem is that there is this haze, this cloud that comes and goes today, so I take this opportunity to give you my thoughts about this new camera release. This long-awaited camera, you know, it's been quite a while that there are rumors about it. It's gonna come out, when they're gonna come out with the mirrorless full frame, and people were complaining and moaning about, and not many people wanted to switch to Sony, like myself as well. You know, once you have a set of lenses and accessories compatible to a certain brand, it's quite difficult to make a switch. And you know, of course, for us photographers, whether you are an amateur or a professional, it's always good to be up with the game, up to the last model of the camera that come out. But the thing is that these manufacturers, they're really taking us for a ride because, you know, when you spend that sort of money, you know, they give you something and they don't give you something else. You know, with that sort of money, they should put everything, all the bells and whistles that a photographer might need. Not just, you know, I give you this, but I don't give you that. So you always have to come to compromises, you know. So when I am very practical, and when I want to upgrade or change a camera and equipment, I look what the new equipment is going to give me that what I got now doesn't let me do. It looks like the clouds are dissipating every now and again. It's getting better again. So one thing in photography, patience is always the key. You know, be patient and see what happens. Most people have come up and gone because they say, ah, today is rubbish, you can't see anything. You might just wait. You see it's a bit windy, so it's going to clear up. Anyway, what were we talking about cameras? Ah, yes, sensor size. Yes, the only thing that they put a big sensor, a full-frame sensor into a mirrorless body, you know. But what would you expect? Why would you get a mirrorless rather than DSLR? Probably because you not having the mirror flicking up, you would expect the camera to be, first of all, a smaller compact body, which this new one doesn't look like it is. Not very small compared to a 5D Mark IV, a little bit, but not that much. And 7 frames per second. That goes down only to 5 frames per second, you know, if you don't use servo focus. So that's ridiculous, you know. If you buy one of those Micro Four Thirds cameras, they are fantastic. They go up to 15 frames per second. Something ridiculous. So that's the point of having a mirrorless camera. It doesn't have this mirror tick-tack every time you take a photo, and so that allows the camera to be faster in shooting, particularly if you shoot sports, you know, action. It's very good to have this 15 frames per second, you know, the more the better. But in this case, what's that kind of? Only 5 frames per second. The second big mistake or lack of specs is the only one SD card slot. So, you know, for any kind of shooting a little bit professional, if you shoot a wedding, if you shoot something with, you got a bit of responsibility, you need to have 2 card slots. You know, come on. You want to have a camera either as a backup, or either in one you shoot RAW and in the other one you shoot JPEGs or videos, whatever. But you need to have 2 card slots. So that's the second problem about this new camera. The third problem, the lack of in-body, inbuilt sensor stabilization. So, you know, there are cameras. I'm going to show you now a little camera that I got that is one of the most underrated cameras, and it's got 5-axis image stabilization with an APS-C sensor. You know, APS-C, I think from APS-C and full frame, then you really see the quality, you know, in photography. If the light is good, even, you know, down to Micro Four Thirds, 1-inch sensor, even a mobile phone sometimes does good photos, you know. It's all then depending what you evaluate as being a good photo, you know. In the Micro Four Thirds, I love the cameras, the specs. They have all sorts of specification that you might need, and but I just don't see the quality, the image quality, particularly in certain conditions of sky, like atmospheric day like today, where you see the quality from IPSC sensor up to full frame. You see good quality. From the Micro Four Thirds down, then you start to see more noise in the image and lack of details in the clouds. Maybe it's just myself, and maybe it's just required to do a bit more post-processing. But you know, if I can do less post-processing, it's better. That's why I like Canon, because I like the colors. They come out straight out of the camera. There's very little post-processing to do, and the files are beautiful, ready to go. Another big problem of this new camera is that Canon now decided, after all so many years, to change the lens mount. So you now need an adapter to put on the camera all the lenses that you collected over the years, whether it's an EF lens or EFS lens. So an extra piece of kit that you need to carry along with you, and then it's gonna get lost in the bags, and you know, the less is always better, you know. Another thing that they've been putting on is the illusion of having a good 4K, but this 4K, it then gets cropped. So then either you use big wide angle lens, but then it gets cropped anyway. So what's the point, you know? The good thing of 4K is just to be able to capture some good still images from your video footage. Each frame, you can retain from each frame lots of details in your images. But these days, you know, using 4K is, all the technology is quite now up to the game with the 4K. So the files are really heavy. If you try to upload a video on YouTube in 4K, it takes ages, you know, and so on. You know, everything slows down. So the only good thing that people have been asking for is the full tiltable screen in a full frame body, because before there was only the 70D and then the 80D without the full flippable screen. But you know, if you want to move to a mirrorless camera, spending half of the money, this is one of the cameras that was the most underrated camera from Canon, the EOS M5. It's got a compact body. That's the reason why you want a full a mirrorless camera, because it's got a compact body. It's got a tiltable screen. It's got 5 axis in-body image stabilization. So that means that I can shoot with using lenses that are not stabilized, and the camera automatically stabilize them. And if the lens is stabilized, then you get double effect. So you can really shoot at a much slower speed and still get sharp images. It's got very good touch screen. The touch screen of Canon is second to none. It's fantastic. You're really responsive. The Wi-Fi connectivity. It's got everything that you need to shoot good photography. 24.5 megapixel images, raw files, and you know, and it costs, you know, less than half of the price of the new EOS R. So let me hear in the comments below your thoughts. If you think this new camera EOS R from Canon is worth buying. I don't think so, but I want to hear your thoughts. Until next time, this is Fabo from Fabulous Outdoors. See you next time.